All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series that I do where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those things you just don't see up on the wall of your LCS most Wednesdays when you go in there to pick up your new books. These are just some tough books out there for one reason or another that you just don't get to see all that often. And I'm just going to go through, see if some of these actually are ghosts that can't be found, or if they're just hard to find or just really expensive books that are out there. It's just they're pricey, and most people have them online for sale because they've scooped them out of your shops. That all being said, hopefully you enjoyed this series as well as all the other content here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling friends. We can keep growing this channel. I can keep doing some more giveaways. We can keep doing some more fun stuff here on the channel. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I'm having fun doing this. And yeah, if you just want to hang on for a few seconds after the intro, I'll be back with a special supersized edition of Chasing Ghosts for this week. Okay, so as I teased just a little bit there in the opening, and if you didn't see the thumbnail and didn't read the description, yes, this is going to be a little bit of a special episode where I'm going to be focusing in on some Star Wars books. Now, if you know me and you know the channel, you know that I love Star Wars. We have a live show every Sunday. Hopefully you come and check that out. And occasionally do some other shows with a few other friends weekly as well. Just all revolving around Star Wars. I love it. It's such great stuff, and there's so much more coming our way soon. Well, Book of Fett is only a couple of weeks away, and once that drops, we're going to be getting Star Wars content from every angle that you can think of, from more comics, more novels, more series, maybe eventually some more movies, more toys, tons and tons of stuff. I'm excited. Hopefully you're excited as well. So I felt like it's been a couple of months. Let's do another Chasing Ghosts and kind of focus in specifically on some Star Wars comic books, because there are still some books that I haven't touched upon that are really, really tough to find. So let's take a look and see what we got for this week's installment. We're going to kick this one off with Dynamic Forces exclusive. This Jedi versus Sith #1. This is the book, which you probably already know, is the first appearance of Darth Bane. So it's already a popular book in and of itself. But this particular issue is a Dynamic Forces exclusive. It has this shiny gold foil kind of like logo. It is not easy to come across. I do not have one. It is also pretty pricey. This came out in April of 2001. And again, this Dynamic Forces variant was limited. So it did have a limited print run that wasn't that small, but yet it's still that hard to find. And it has been limited to 2,500 from what I could see out there. But I'm telling you, I don't see 2,500 copies. There's just not that many out there. There's copies, and they're expensive. But 2,500, I don't see them. But if we want to look in the census, again, only 30. It's only 30 copies in the census. This is from 2001. Features a very important Star Wars character that a lot of people are looking forward to and speculating upon. And yet, with all of that, we only have 30 copies in the census. Even in the last couple of years, with everything blowing up, with everything Star Wars, people haven't been subbing this book more than 30 copies. If there's 2,500, that seems kind of crazy to me. But it is what it is. Listed for sale, if you want to see what's out there. Like I said, there are some copies. There are some copies out there. Most expensive being a 9.6 for $3,200. Another 9.6 for $2,800. 9.6, $2,500. A 9.2, only $1,300. That's a bargain by comparison. No, there's more. We have more. Another 9.2 for about $1,275. Raw copy for $1,100. A 9.0 for about $1,050. 7.50 for an 8.5. Another 8.5 for only $722. Plenty of copies out there. Oh, sorry, it kind of teased that sold copies though. $2,000 best offer on a 9.4 ended up being $1,350. So Sorry, my little transition didn't work and it kind of gave away the answer. But as you can see, this is still a very expensive book, even when it sells. Only one sold in the last couple of months, and it was a best offer on that 9.4 for $2,000, but they still got $13.50 for it. So that is no small chunk of change for this book. Just keep that in mind. This Dynamic Forces, again, Jedi versus Sith #1, limited edition exclusive. It says it was limited to 2,500, but again, I don't know if that's correct or what, but it just doesn't seem like there's that many. Despite all those out there, 2,500 is a lot. That being said, let's just move on to our next book, which is another tough book. And this was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. This is a mini comic as well, with a nice shiny foil kind of holochrome, I think, like cover. This is Star Wars: The Old Republic Threat of Peace. This was given out at San Diego Comic-Con to kind of promote the Old Republic video game that was releasing around that time. This was in July of 2009. And like I said, this is a San Diego Comic-Con edition. Handed out. So print run, I don't have a number for you. There is no set run. So it is kind of a guess at what might be out there. There are copies in the census. Not many, but there are copies. 5 copies to be exact. All 9/8. 2 blue labels and 3 SSs for this mini book. Again, like I said, it's a mini book, mini comic that was given out as a promotion for the video game that was coming out. So it's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. You're not going to find this in most shops because I'm on the East Coast, so we don't get a lot of San Diego Comic-Con exclusives unless people fly out there and then bring them back. And if they're doing that, they're going to be charging a premium when they bring them back my way. So just keeping that out there. That's the limitation you get with some of these convention type exclusives, is you're limited by location. So consider yourself lucky if you're closer to that venue. Listed for sale on this thing, there are a few. One of those 9/8s, $2,500. And you can see when you look at the little picture of the slab, how small that book is inside that slab. So it's taken up maybe a third of the whole empty space there. And then you can see a couple other copies, raw copies, $1,700 and $1,500 asking prices. So yeah, expensive book if you can find one. What actually sold on this? Well, the sales are much, much cheaper. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. A best offer, all raw, a best offer on $400, at auction for $202, at auction with only 2 bids for $200. And that best offer accepted $325. So $200 to $325 for raw copies is what's kind of sold end of October through end of November for these particular sales. I don't know, just something to keep in mind when you're looking at those $1,700 asking prices. That might be a bit steep right now, but at the same time, those are the only copies out there. So if you want it, you got to play ball or wait and be patient. That being said, I'm going to be much more patient because I can't pay any of these prices. I'm just not in the market for this book at any of these prices. Even $200, I don't even think I really want to buy in at that price, because then I think I would only be thinking about profit. It's not a book that I need for my personal collection that I'd be paying that much for. I'm only thinking about investment potential. It's like, well, if I got it for $2, maybe it'll be more later. I don't want to play that game for that kind of money. I don't like buying in at books like that for that kind of money, hoping that they go up. If I'm paying that kind of money, it's got to be a book that I actually want for me, that it's going to be a tough thing for me to sell down the line if the price reaches that point where, well, now I kind of have to sell it because it's a ridiculous price. That all being said, that's not what we're doing here. Let's move on to our next book. This is another Old Republic book. This is issue 1 of Old Republic. This is Threat of Peace, part 1 of 3. This is a 5-issue miniseries. Maybe it's 6. But this first issue is an incentive. This cover here we have is an incentive for that first issue, but it's an only 1 in 5 incentive. Dark Horse had a lot of 1 in 5 incentives that a lot of people aren't aware of and a lot of people don't know about. Comicbookinvest.com has a good list of some of these that you can go check out. Some of these 1 in 5 incentive variants, because like I said, they're kind of tough to pick out because they just look normal. There's not a lot that kind of draws your eye to say, hey, I'm a retailer incentive. Come buy me. If the place you're shopping at only has 1 copy, this 1 copy number 1 could be the incentive, and it's actually tougher, I should say, to find. July 2010, it was the release date on this. The full print run of this book was a little over 20,000. So when you do that 1 in 5 math, yeah, we're looking at 4,100 potential copies of this. So that's still a lot of copies potentially out there, considering it's an incentive, but it's still hard to find. I still go find one, though. It may seem like a big number, but go find it. Check the census. There's only 15 in the census for this book. 898s, 496s, and a couple others down the line there. If you want to check the market and see, well, I want to go buy one. What's this thing going to run me? Well, there's one out there, but it's about $200 for best offer. So it ain't cheap. And there's just the one. So keep that in mind as well. And if you want to see what actually sold, well, there were a few sales. 9.8 best offer on 500, 9.8 best offer on 500, a raw best offer on 165, and another raw at auction 122.50. And just going back over those best offers, 415 on those 9.8s, and then $130 on that raw. So, you know, a little bit of a discount from 165 to 130, and a little discount from 500 to 415 on those 9.8s as well. But still, not a cheap book. And that's still only 4 copies that sold over the last 3 months. And sales spanning all 3 months, a couple of Novembers, a September, and an October sale as well. Our next book, though, is another 1 in 5, and this is Dawn of the Jedi Force Storm. So this is that ancient story. Like these, I did manage to pick up the regular covers for these runs, these Dawn of the Jedi series. There's 3 minis, I believe, 5 issues, and a couple of them had issue 0s, or just the one had the issue 0. The Dawn of the Jedi might have had an issue 0. But still, Force Storm issue 1, not issue 0. There are multiple printings as well on the 0 and the first issue. But this is the 1 in 5 incentive variant from February 2012. So again, little 1 in 5 incentives. You're just weird little low ratio like incentives, but still things that are not easy to track down. Estimated print run on this is just under 19,000, so 18,797, which is going to make our incentive be about 3,700 thereabouts for the copy. So not quite as much as the last book, but still pretty high. Still pretty high number when you consider things. CGC Census has a few more of this book, 38 in total, 21 9/8s, 10 9/6s, and then a few others, but still almost 40 copies in the census. Still not really a big number if there's 3,800 copies or 3,700 copies out there. But what's out on the market right now, if you want to go shopping, we got a couple. 9.6 for $675, 9.2 for $550, and then a raw for $350 on this. So you can see those are some not cheap prices. And this is just a 1 in 5. And this is, well, a first issue, a lot of first appearances, but this is one of those ancient Jedi books. Who knows if we're ever going to see anything adapted into anything, but with Star Wars collecting, it doesn't all have to revolve around the movies or the shows. Star Wars collectors like to collect Star Wars. So this could be Dark Horse. This could be non-canon. This could be something that never gets adapted. There will still be buyers for this book because there are Star Wars collectors out there. It's a different breed that's mixing in with the comic book collectors. The comic book collectors who just collect comics are now diving into the Star Wars stuff. So now things are kind of like exponentially growing right now between the two markets, because now you're having multiple people looking at different books for different reasons. But that all being said, Star Wars is a fun place to play, but some of these books have gotten really tough to find, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find this variant personally for a price that I can pay, especially if these prices are any representation of what I might come across. I can't be throwing that down for a 1 in 5 on this book. I just can't. Personal, again, that's just not something I want to do. But if you want to, go ahead. Sold copies? Well, 9.8, 525. Raw copy, 142.50 at auction with 16 bids. So as I said, this isn't something that's ignored. There were 16 bids to get it up to 142. And then another best offer on 125 where they accepted 112.50. So still well over $100 for this book. I don't know. Could be a tough one. I do like this cover, though. It is pretty cool. I do kind of dig it, but I don't know if I'll ever add this one to my PC. But who knows? You never know. You never know what you might come across. So never say never. But moving on to our next Star Wars book, we have The Star Wars #2. This is the series that Dark Horse did that was based off of the George Lucas's, like, those early drafts, as well as the early Ralph McQuarrie like concept art. So you can see this concept art here showing some of the different characters from C-3PO to R2 and so on and so forth. You can see them there. They don't quite look exactly like you remember, because again, this was early concept work and this early drafts of the story. So it's a different kind of take on the Star Wars. And this is issue 2, and this is a 1 in 25 incentive for this book. I like it. It's a pretty cool cover. It gives you kind of like that, almost like a novel cover kind of feel vibe to me, the way that the layout of it is. But yeah, it's one I do not have and wouldn't mind adding, but it could be tough. It's like I said, 1 in 25 incentive, October 2013 on this book. Estimated print run, 56,000. So that's going to make the incentive still 2,200 copies, which is not a tiny, tiny number, for especially for this video series. So if you watch this, we're usually talking about in the hundreds, like under 1,000, maybe a little over 1,000. But some of these Star Wars books are still a couple thousand copies out there potentially, and we're still not seeing them available. Because, like I said, a lot of Star Wars collectors are collectors, and we don't see a lot of these books come back to market. So yeah. So some of these books we might not see again until people start passing away or start handing books down to their kids who don't care or whatever. But some of these Star Wars books maybe not be coming out of a lot of people's clutches for a while. So keep that in mind as well. CGC census on this, 33 copies, and there is a 9.9 for this book out there, and then 24 9/8, 7 9/6, and then it looks like there's a random 7.0 down there. So we got a random 7.0 and a 9.9 mixed into this batch. But 33 copies, interesting. Listed for sale for this one, there are a few. 9/8 for $650, and then raw copies at $125 to $145. So not too cheap. Not as expensive as some of the other books we've looked at, but still, a lot of this stuff is they're hard to find and they're expensive. May not be ghosts when we start factoring everything in, but still hard to find and still expensive. And then there's still a few more, $99 for a couple of raws and $117.27 for a few more. So yeah, we got 6 copies available. So can't really say this one's probably not going to make the ghost list, but it is a little pricey. And we want to see what actually sold. Well, $125 and $51 at auction. So somebody was bold enough to throw it up at auction. They did get 7 bids and they got only $51. $50, I'm probably in. I might play at 50, but I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. But hey, who knows? I have to keep my eyes out and put this on a watch list and see what might shake out. And one day, maybe get lucky and I can get a book like this for a price that I'm willing to pay. Now, we got a couple of more. And our next one is a book that is very, very popular. Very, very popular with a lot of people and a grail for a lot of collectors. A lot of people seeking this book out. Not a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say that not a lot of people have it because they do. There are a lot of copies of it as well, but it is still a book that is sought after by so many that it is in high demand, and that's Darth Vader #3. First appearance of Dr. Aphra. Yes, multiple printings on this first print. And there is this 1 in 25 incentive variant as well. Again, a grail for many collectors. I do not have this incentive variant either. I probably won't because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to shell out the bucks to get one, nor am I so inclined to really want one. I've got my cover A. I might even have one of the later printing. Good enough for me, personally. It's good enough for me. I can't go chasing this one. This one has gotten out of reach. March 2015, 1 in 25 incentive. Estimated print run on this book was 85,000. Over 85,000 on the cover A. Keep that in mind as well when you're out there buying your cover A's. Incentive, 1 in 25, even on 85,000, still gives you over 3,400 copies. Potentially. I know it's just potentially, but still over 3,400 copies of that 1 in 25. Keep that in mind as well when you're spending your dollars. In the census, we got a whopping 799 in the census already. 379 9/8, 261 9/6, and a whole bunch more. There's 800 copies in the census, so that's a good chunk of that estimated print run. But yeah, that's a lot of books. It's a lot of books. Listed for sale on this, well, raws, maybe about 400 plus. 9/8, $2,750. $2,750 are the asking prices right now for 9/8 and about $440 for a raw. I am not listing anymore because there were dozens listed. So yes, this is not going to be a ghost. This is just darn expensive. Just saying. It is expensive, but not a ghost. There's like at least 2 dozen copies out there right now for purchase in those kind of price ranges. Granted, they're some lower, some higher, but yeah, there are copies. It's just expensive. And I did the available copies after. I should have done the similar thing here with the sold copies, but I didn't. I give you the pages of sold copies from best offer on $2,800, $2,000 for 9.8, 1850 best offer accepted on a 9.8, 1900 at auction on a 9.8 with 31 bids. So a lot of action, a lot of people still looking for this book. Another auction, 1875 with 39 bids. 2 bids, 1525 for a 9.8. A raw sold for $1,500. A 9.6 sold for only $900. Uh-oh, they're coming down a little bit, coming down in price. 9.6, $855. Raw, $700. Raw, $650. Raw, $609 with 28 bids. Again, another book with a lot of action on it. Even more, 13 bids to get to $566. $500, buy it now. $478 with 27 bids back in September. 2 bids to $400 just November 25th. A lot of copies sold. As cheap as $400 for raw. But still, that's not that cheap. It's not that cheap. And as you saw, there's a lot of copies of this out there. But still, as I said, I wouldn't mind having one, but I can't. Not at this price. I just can't. I can't in good conscience do that to my budget and my wallet. But to each their own. I'm not as big of Dr. Aphra fan maybe as others. So if that is your favorite Star Wars character, I get it. And I'm not going to say don't spend that money if you want it. I'm just giving you my personal take in that I'm not going to do it. But I am not going to judge anybody else for doing it. Just want you to have all the information you can to make your own decision. That there are a lot of copies. There are a lot of people looking, though. So you got a lot of competition. So that is why the prices are where they are. I'm just saying I'm just not playing. Which is going to take us to our next book. Force Awakens, number 1. Ton of copies, ton of covers. The 2 we're going to quickly look at are the Joe Quesada variants. This particular one here is a 1 in 100 Joe Quesada cover for the Force Awakens adaptation number 1. Again, a lot of first appearances for these characters in comics. So first Rey, first Finn, first Kylo Ren. 1 in 100 incentive, June 2016. So decent book, but like I said, there's a lot of covers for this thing. There's incentives all the way up down the line, store variants. This is a very popular book as well. Estimated print run of just under 80,000 on the straight full run. So if you do that math, there's only 796 of the 1 in 100. That's not too bad. That's more in line with what we usually cover here, that under 1,000 copy kind of estimate. Because again, these are all estimates. But this wasn't the only incentive of even using this cover art. There was also the sketch version of this, which in some places said it was a 1 in 200, but I think what I've gathered is this is a 1 in 300 to get this black and white incentive, which would make our estimate be 265 copies of the black and white version. I am more of a fan of the color version for just aesthetic purposes, but obviously, if there's 3 times as many of them, price is going to reflect that, you would think, a little bit. But in the census, we'll look at the 1 in 100 first. There are 86 copies for the 1 in 100, the color version. 46 9/8s, 27 9/6s, and then 11 9/4s and a few others. The 1 in 300 sketch version has about half that, with only 43 copies in the census. 35 9/8s, 3 9/6s, and then a few others down the line. It's interesting. This is for the sketch cover. Now, listed for sale, I'm going to just kind of group these kind of together, kind of speed things along a little bit. You can see 9/8 for the sketch is $1,350 and $1,325. For the color, we only have a 9/6 asking $700, and then a raw asking $370. So not cheap for either one. But by comparison, the black and white does seem to be cheap by comparison, I guess, considering it's got a third of the estimated print run of the other one. But again, I still kind of prefer the color personally. And we want to see what actually sold. Well, actual sale prices here are best offer for the sketch on a 9/8 and a best offer for a raw of the color on 340. And the accepted amounts were $950 for that 9/8 sketch and $325 for that color. So you can see that, look at the discount that the sketch got for a 9/8. They dropped it like, 25% thereabouts? Whereas that raw copy of the color, they only knocked $15 off. That basically covers the shipping and maybe sales tax, depending on where, what state you might be in. But still Still a little bit of a hard to find book. Just saying. Up next, we have another book that I used to own, and I took the short money and sold it after grabbing it off the shelf for $30 the week it came out. This is Darth Vader, the Volume 2, Number 1, the Mark Brooks incentive, 1 in 50 incentive variant, the homage to that X-Men cover. June 2017 is when this came out. And like I said, I think I bought it for 30 and like sold it like that same week for like $80, thinking, "Ooh, I did a." Do I regret doing that now? Because I really do like this cover. But now I'm going to be searching for a copy that I can afford because now it got expensive on me. Sometimes you got to watch those quick flips. Don't quick flip things that you want. Is the best advice I can give you. I mean, if you bought something just because you didn't care, but you knew you could make some money, I mean, by all means, I've done that plenty. I've bought and sold plenty of things I could care less about just so I could buy things like this. Why I sold this book that week, I couldn't tell you. I think it was just knowing that, oh, I can immediately cash this in. Like, oh, I just found $50 at the store. But now it's costing me later because I wish I had that $50 back or gave that $50 back and still had the book. 118,000 plus on this print run. Plenty of copies. So even with that, the incentive is still going to have over 2,300 copies potentially for this 1 in 50. So keep that in mind as well. A lot of copies, but I dig it. I love the distressed look on the outside. It's kind of a pulp feel. I dig it. But it's gone. I took that short money, as many of us have before. I know I'm not alone with that story. 174 in the census with 116 9/8, 29 9/6, 18 9/4, and a few others finishing it out. So plenty of copies graded as well. Out there for sale, and this is where I start kicking myself because, man, I just can't. 9/8, $700, 9/8, $600, 9/8, $550, 9/6, $450. But that's it. Not even a raw for me to buy. I mean, sometimes when raws come up, they're still 200 plus. But that's, I can't. Oh, why did I sell it? But like I said, what's done is done. But what sold recently, so just so I can kind of see what I missed out on the market. Well, 9/8, one bid, $389. And then, as I mentioned, those raws, a raw for $250 sold, buy it now, and then 13 bids to get it up to $201 back in September. So still a $200 plus raw. So probably not getting this one back unless I get lucky because I just can't, especially knowing what I did. I can't now buy in at 200. Sometimes I'm stubborn like that. Moving on, we only got a couple of more books, I think. Our next book is Hondo. First appearance of Hondo. He is not, unfortunately, on the cover of the retailer incentive, but issue 7 of Star Wars Adventures is the first appearance of one of my favorite Star Wars characters, Hondo. I don't know why. I just like him. I like that shifty pirate type. It's interesting. Fun. He's funny. You don't know when he's going to be good, when he's going to be devious. You don't know. And I think that's why I like him as a character. He can go number of different ways and still keep things interesting. But this is featuring the Star Wars Rebels crew. I do love that show. Star Wars Adventures 7. Again, this is March 2018, the 1 in 10 retailer incentive. Good luck finding this one. Even with a print run of 12,000, almost 13,000, the 1 in 10 still only has about 1,300 copies, 1,283 estimated. But I defy you to find them because I can't find them. Only 30 in the census, 22 9/8, and then a few others, 3 9/6s, and a couple others down there. So only 30 in the census. But if you want to go out there looking to go buy one right now, as I've been trying to look and see if I can snipe one for a cheap price, well, there's none out there right now. And I haven't seen one for a little while either that was really buyable, but none. So no copies. What actually sold? Well, we had 2 sell over the last 3 months. One in September, 9/8, sold for $405 with 17 bids at auction. And there was a 9/4 that sold for $250 beginning of November. But that's it. That's it. So good luck if you want to go hunt that book too. I'm looking for one. I mean, I have my regular cover of Hondo, but and there's a cover B that he's also not on. But I do have my cover A, so I'll just be happy with that and just keep looking for this one because I also do like this cover for the Rebels team. I don't know, it's a little bit kiddie. This is a more of an all ages type book, but I kind of like it. I don't know, something about the way it's a little askew. I like it. I like this design of the team, so I'll still keep an eye out for it. And I think we got one more. Only one more book to cover. I've had it sitting next to me this whole time. I credit Ben C for giving me the heads up on this book, saying, "Yeah, you know what? Just go and pick this one up." When this one came out, I was like, "Yeah, all right, I'm going to." So I grabbed two of these. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple #1. This is the game variant. This is a 1 in 10 incentive edition of that. September 2019. I think I bought both of these for like $10 each or something like that. But the print run on this book isn't too hefty, considering it's a Star Wars book. Only 23,000 thereabouts. So yes, 1 in 10 is still going to give you a pretty healthy print run of 2,300 copies potentially. But I'm telling you, you don't see that many out there. Go ahead and go look. In the census, we've got 18 in the census with 14 9/8s, 2 9/6s, 2 9/4s. And out of those 14 9/8s, I actually got 2 because I submitted both of mine. So of those 14, 2 of them are mine. Woohoo! Yay for me. So the one book that I do have on this list that I kept and didn't stupidly sell or not buy like some of the other ones when I should have. But that all being said, interesting book, couple of first appearances in it. We know we're getting the Fallen Order 2 game coming soon. Maybe that'll cause this one to kind of bump a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we'll see some of the characters, Cara Yunda showing up in something, reference somewhere else down the line. But listed for sale for this book, there are not a lot right now. As I said, 9/8 out there for $500, and a raw copy out there for 180. 13 watchers on both. So I don't know if they're the same 13 watchers or not, but there's some eyes keeping an eye on this book. And those prices have crept up sneakily on these last few months. Because I remember when these 9/8s were like, oh, well, it's like $150. That's not too bad. But now look where we're at. It's steadily growing. It's steadily growing. That black cover is going to make these kind of tough too in 9/8. So I'm kind of glad that I do have the 2. That being said, what sold recently when we look at the market, there were a few sales. Raw, best offer on 200, best offer on 100. One at auction sold for 100, and then one sold for $75. Going back to those best offer accepting prices, 150 accepted on that raw and 75 accepted on that other. So from 200 down to 150, from 100 down to 75, both took 25% off for their best offers, which is something that's nothing to sneeze at. That's not something substantial. Usually, you figure 10 to 20% is usually what you can kind of get as a discount with a best offer without too much of a fight. When you get beyond that, good job. But yeah, 75 to 150 bucks for raws for that book. So it has gone up, as you can see. All of those have been since October 20th and mostly in November. 3 of those sales were in November. But that's our list of Star Wars books. I think that was 10, if not 11, because we had those 2 of the Force Awakens book. But just try to give you a few books of Star Wars, and there's still a couple more we kind of tackle in this kind of ghost category to see what we have. But as we saw throughout this list, despite many of these books being tough books to find and being very, very expensive, that's what a lot of these are. And a lot of these are when I got to make my call from the Dr. Aphra 1 in 25 to that Vader 1 in 50 to even the 1 in 5 and that Dawn of Jedi and all the other books that we went through on this list, there were a lot. Even those hard to find, impossible San Diego books, there's still multiple copies out there. There's still multiple copies available right now. So I can't in good conscience say these are ghosts, even with a couple of copies each. These are all hard to find and expensive in most cases. But just based off of today's look or this weekend's look into the market, considering I've only found 1 copy of that Knights of the Old Republic 1 in 5 and could find no copies of the 1 in 10 for Hondo's first appearance on Star Wars Adventures #7, I am going to call both of those ghosts. Feel free to disagree. I get it, but I'm making that call just based on my look right now. This is what we got. 1 copy and no copies. For that, I will consider ghost as an appropriate term for these covers. You can disagree, and again, we can look at this in another month and it could be a completely different story. But as we're doing this right now, that's my take. That's what I got. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for checking in and checking out the channel. Hopefully you're enjoying all the content. Hopefully you're liking what I'm putting out there. I'm having fun doing this. Again, I love Star Wars, so I'm looking forward to doing Star Wars again. Probably in another couple of months, I'll have another group of books for us to kind of talk about and see if they're ghosts or not. Maybe some will be new releases, but they'll probably still be older books. That all being said, I know I've covered a lot of content here on the channel. Let me know what you think, what you like, what you want to see more of. Hoping that we get more people here. Keep telling your friends to keep growing the channel. We can do some more fun stuff, like more giveaways, and I don't know, think of some more fun things to do. We got live shows on Wednesdays and Sundays. Hopefully you're checking those out for the lively chat and a lot of fun that we have there covering Star Wars on Sunday and the weekly topic that Marco and I decided to do on the tax show. And yeah, with that all being said, appreciate you all, and I will see you soon with some more content.